last Saturday, the picture on the right shows the Apple store in New York. You know, the glass cube store up at 59th and 5th Avenue. They took a Segway and painted it up, and on the front put a video screen and went up and down the line of people queued up to buy iPads promoting their application. Darn good promotion.
I downloaded it before flying here.
You did what?
I bought that for my trip here.
Oh, great. Now, how do you retain a user once you get them, and how do you expand their usage? Notifications are a potent traffic driver. Now, notifications, for those of you that haven't seen it, what happens when a news application has notifications is when there's breaking news, it pops up a screen over whatever else you're doing and says X number of miners dead in West Virginia mine disaster or whatever, or there's an earthquake in Chile, etc. And when that pops up, it drives a lot of traffic to the application. You can provide optionally, you can provide sounds to go with the notification, but you better make them optional so that the user can turn them off or they'll delete your app. And icon badges. Do you know the little icons on the screen of an iPhone? Sometimes in the upper left corner there's a little circle with a number. That's called a badge. And when you put out a notification and the customer hasn't seen it, you put a little badge on the icon, and you just can't resist opening that application, if nothing else, to get rid of that badge. It drives traffic. Notifications are great. Weather, sports scores, and sharing features drive traffic. You would not believe how many visitors the USA Today iPhone application has gotten because of their sports scores. They make it super easy to get to sports scores. Sometimes in some applications it's tough to get to sports scores. USA Today made it easy. It drives traffic. Of course, everybody wants to know the weather. You've got to have a weather section. And sharing features, everyone demands to be able to share stories with social networks. They're essentials. Now, another thing that we have learned, because we have two major applications from news organizations, one that's typically text news and the other that's typically video news. And on the day of the Chilean earthquake, when you have a major news event, you always get downloads, more than average downloads of your news application. But on the day of the Chilean earthquake, the news provider who offered video had 8 times more downloads than the news provider who provided text information. On a day-to-day basis, users want to see their news in text form, in a stack where they can run down them visually and then dive deeply into the stories that they find interesting. But when it comes to breaking news, they demand video. And if you don't provide video, they will easily be able to transfer out to a brand that does provide video. Ray Meese has got a session on video that I highly recommend. It is becoming incredibly important. Just because you've been a traditional print provider doesn't mean you don't need video. It means you really do need video in this new market. Design of the application is critical, but it's very, very important to make a distinction between the eye-pleasing variety of design and user experience design. When you choose a company to build an application, make sure that they have more than just programmers, because programmers can't design good user experiences. Accomplished professional designers can design good user experiences. So the best relationship we have with a client is a client who wants to do the eye-pleasing part of design and ask us to do the user experience part of design. You've got to know these devices to do that well. Here's what a typical schedule looks like. You have a design approval phase, a programming phase, a testing phase. And then you should always allow 2 weeks for Apple to approve the application, and they usually bounce it back for some technical reason. You have to fix that, so we allow 2 weeks. I put this slide in for one thing, and it was to talk about point number 3, testing. You cannot do enough testing of an application. And in our shop, no application goes out that I don't test personally. Now, I'm not the first tester, I'm not the main tester, but everybody in our organization has to test apps. When you hire someone to develop an application for you, demand that they set up a test account for you. You've got to test it just as well as them. You cannot afford to put out apps that crash. Now, the important one, monetizing applications. It is a fact that online ad inventory is infinite. And what happens when ad inventory is infinite? Prices drop. CPMs are dropping. They will continue to drop in online advertising. Did you know that when you look at the online advertising market, it's a really big market in terms of dollars, but Google walks away with 67 cents out of every dollar. And the rest of us have to scrap for 33 cents. So you can't depend on ad revenue alone to perpetuate your organization. That note did the game change yesterday. Apple yesterday announced that not only do they have a music store and an application store and a bookstore, they now have an advertising agency. They bought an ad company, and Apple is now going to sell ads. And if you're a developer offering a free application, Apple will put the ads in for you and give you 60% of the revenue. It's a swell deal. So the game may have changed. 60. They keep 40. On their bookstore and their music store and their app store, they keep 30% of the take. They're taking 40 on this because they're doing the creative. But you get 60% of it. Now, what a way to motivate developers. Monetizing applications with subscriptions. Okay, we missed it when it came to the web. We missed the subscription piece. We depended on ad revenue. Ad revenue would not keep any of our organizations in business. So how do we go back to a subscription/ad model? The answer is painfully. And the other answer is 2010 is the year it's happening. The Wall Street Journal, when they issued their iPad app 7 days ago, they started from the get-go charging $17 a month. The New York Times is getting set up. The iPad app they put out is just a teaser. They're getting set to deliver a full-blown iPad app. I don't know what they'll charge for it, but they just recently increased the price of my New York Times Reader subscription by 33% to $20 a month. So I suspect that their iPad app will be $17 to $20 a month. I don't know what USA Today is going to charge for a subscription, but they've already told users that within 90 days they're going to a subscription model. It's free until then, supported by advertising revenue from Marriott.